Hello, I'm Alexandra and welcome back to my channel. Today is an exciting video because I'm gonna talk about fantasy. I don't talk about it a lot because until recently I felt like I hadn't read enough fantasy to be able to talk and tell you which are my favorites and which one I think you should read. But you know what? I've read quite a lot in my years and I think I'm able to talk to you about my favorites. Have I read everything? No. I do not read young adult fantasy that much anymore. I feel like after COVID, I was reading a lot of young adult fantasy, but after that, I moved towards more adult fantasy. But in the books I'm gonna talk about, there's adult and young adult fantasy, so should be good, I think. What I did is that I picked some fantasy series that I own, that I have in my shelves, and I'm going to go through those series and tell you which book is my favorite. There's also one that I think I've read the first two books in this series, but we'll come back to that later because, you know, I have a lot to talk to you about. We'll start with, I believe this is young adult, so it's called An Ember and the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and the second book is called A Torch Against the Night. I picked this from the bookstore because it was very cheap. It was $16 Canadian or $12 American dollars. Anyways, and I really love this. I think it was well made. The world building was great. The writing not so much, but again, it's a young fantasy, so I was like, this should be good. And I enjoyed it. Was it a 5 stars? I don't think so. I think it was around 4 stars. But then I read the second book, which is A Torch Against the Night, and I went through this book as an audiobook because I was very busy reading my book advent calendar, so I had a lot of physical books to read, and this audiobook was available to me. So I went and listened to this, and honestly, it was kind of boring. Don't get me wrong, the world building was still great. It's just they went through a forest for weeks and weeks and months, and at one point it was just boring. So between those two, I think the first one was way better in my opinion. The last fight in this one was also very good, but it's just overall this was more interesting. There's a third book, I believe maybe a fourth book, I'm not sure, but I will for sure read this because I enjoyed this series, and I feel like she's not that popular, Sabaa Tahir. She has published quite a couple of books now. I think she has also stand alone. We'll see. I'm gonna attempt to read more by her because I enjoyed those books, but you know, a good start. Then I need to pick up the books from there. I have adult fantasy. If you don't know me, well, I read Brandon Sanderson and I enjoy Brandon Sanderson, but they're also so big. So this is the first Stormlight Archive. Okay, so book 1 is The Way of Kings. This is how long? Almost 1300 pages. And then we have book 2, which is Words of Radiance. This is also around 1300 pages. And then we have Hopebringer, which is also 1300 pages. And in those 3, I preferred this one because I felt like more was happening and it was just good, and I just honestly, it's hard to explain what the Stormlight Archives are. And also I'm currently reading Miss Bourne, so I'm lost because everything gets confusing in my head, but all that I know is that I prefer the third book, but you have to go through them. I'm not saying they're not good, they're very good, but so far the book 3 of the first Stormlight, the first trilogy of the Stormlight Archive was very good, and I'm also about to start book 4 in next month. No, I don't know the name, it's on the wrong side of my shelf, but I'm excited because this was very good. But I think now that I'm reading Miss Bourne, do I prefer this? Yeah, I think I do. I'm not going to talk about Miss Bourne because I'm not done yet. I'm reading the third book at the moment, so for this, Holdbringer was the best one, but so far for the Mistborn, book 2 was the best. So, you know, you always get surprised by Brandon Sanderson, and if you're interested in trying adult fantasy, I think Brandon Sanderson is the way to go. I don't think I've read other adult fantasy than Brandon Sanderson, but if you read fantasy and you would like to leave some recommendation, you can tell me, because I'm always looking for more recommendation. Now I'll talk about this series. I think it's fantasy. It's Neon Gods by Kathy Robert. If it's not fantasy, I'm sorry, but this is very good. Basically, you're following these people that are Greek gods, but they're not Greek gods. They are, but they're Greek gods right now. Like, it's... Yes, I did hit my head with the book. But these people are at the head of very rich and powerful families, and all the families, they are linked to Greek gods and goddess. So, but it's a good twist, okay? Like, it's not something I've read. Yeah, I enjoyed this so much. And this you're following Persephone. I don't know how to pronounce her name in English, but anyways, and Zeus and Hades. Yeah. But it's complicated. There's a bunch of drama, but I'm thinking it's fantasy because they have powers. If it's not fantasy, I'm sorry, but this was amazing. I've listened to book 2. I think I enjoyed it also, but like, this is book 1. Chef's kiss. Honestly, was very good. I only bought this recently because it was on sale, but it was pretty cheap, and eventually I want to read all that series because it was just so good. So good. Now, there's 2 series left. First one I'm gonna talk about is this. The first book is called Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, and the second one is called Heart of the Sun Warrior by the same writer. And look at how pretty these books are, honestly. So I went to the bookstore for my birthday like 2 years ago, and I picked this book because it was beautiful. Like, I mean, look at this. And I've read it and I enjoyed myself so much. Like, it was so good. I believe this is more adult fantasy. I might be wrong, but it felt more adult than young adult, but at the same time it's a young adult. That's the daughter, and it's just, the world building was very good. The writing was good too. I was very surprised. Like, it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting to enjoy this so much, and then after I read this, it became kind of popular, so it was on the Goodreads Choice Award list, all of that. I enjoyed this so much. And then she came out with the second book, this time Heart of the Sun Warrior. It's the same girl, like the daughter is also the main character in this. I think this was less good than this. It just felt a bit forced, and I don't know, but like, it's very pretty, and I'm very happy I have read this. She has also published a third book in that series, but it's in the hardback. It's like 100 pages long, and it's like $30. So I haven't bought it because it's too expensive. Maybe one day, but I mean, the first book was way better than the second book, in my opinion. It was just very good. So if you're interested, and also I think you can read this as a standalone. You don't have to go on and read more. This was very good. Then we are now at the last one. It's a very popular series. You probably, if you read fantasy, you know what this is. So I have A Court of Thorns and Roses, the series. I don't remember. I remember that A Court of Silver. Ooh, I'm gonna drop everything. This book was the last one. This is, I believe, book 4. A Court of Frost and Starlight. It's like a short story. The first book is A Court of Thorns and Roses. We have, I don't know, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin. Also, can we talk about the fact that I bought this? Look at this edition. And then this was, I don't know, stopped. for whatever reason. And then we moved to this ugly thing. Like, it's not nice compared to this. Anyways, I think I've read this series 2 times, 3 times maybe. And this is, I believe, a very popular opinion. But book 5 is by far the best. I'm sorry, like, the thing is, yes, it is spicy, but I feel like this was so interesting compared to the rest. Like, everything's good. And maybe you're gonna say, oh, this is too popular. You're like, it's not that good. Maybe it's not that good, but I enjoyed myself, so I'm sorry. But this, amazing. Like, I first read the ebook because it was only, you know, they do that, they get out the hardback and then a year later they get the paperback, but I'm too poor to buy the hardbacks, so I had to wait a year before I got my hands on the paperback edition. So I read the ebook. I was like, oh my god, this is so good. So I bought it and I have the full series, and honestly, this was very good. This is so easy to read. It's so fast. Like, things are happening all the time. It was just good. Also, Sarah J. Maas. I have tried the other series. What is it called? I don't remember. Couldn't make it through the first book. So this is it for me. Like, I'm not gonna read anything else by her. I think it was just, at the time I read this, it was the right moment. So anyways, but yeah, this book, the best. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I talked a lot about a lot of books. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's different from my usual vlog, but I was like, I have some time and I want to talk about fantasy. So yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye!